This is my favorite way to brew coffee, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why I don't think you should be so quick to write the Chemex off, especially if you're new to the world of specialty coffee, because this brewer is definitely a game changer. The Chemex pour-over is one of the most infamous, legendary, and classic brewers in specialty coffee. It's been around since 1941 and has been a beloved brewer. And when you think of brewing coffee at home, this is kind of exactly what you think of. Something beautiful, something elegant, something that brews a very unique cup of coffee. But lately, I think it's become kind of cool and trendy to hate on the Chemex. Whether you're on coffee Instagram or coffee YouTube or even coffee TikTok, you're going to find all kinds of videos of coffee influencers and coffee people who are making videos on why they don't like the Chemex and everything wrong with it. And to be fair, it does have its faults. But don't be so quick to write it off, because you're going to get an amazing cup of coffee with the Chemex. Now, for me personally, the Chemex was my very first brewer. It was my introduction to specialty coffee, and it gave me a new taste and appreciation for black coffee. The flavor profiles I brewed with this bad boy opened my mind to a whole new world. I had never tasted coffee quite as good as I did from the Chemex. A lot of people, especially if they've been in specialty coffee for a while, the Chemex was maybe one of their first brewers that helped introduce them, kind of like the gateway drug into specialty coffee brewing, but then they quickly lose favor with it. I think the Chemex is an excellent brewer for anyone just getting started, and it's a classic that you need to have on your bar just because of how high quality the coffee is. In my opinion, the Chemex is the best brewer on the market if you're looking for a nice, clean, bright, less bitter tasting cup of coffee. Something with a lot of clarity where you can really taste the flavor notes and really develop your taste palette without any kind of junk getting in the way. And you want something that's not going to scare you away in terms of bitterness, because let's be real, some coffee can be insanely bitter. But I think the Chemex does an excellent job in helping to get rid of that. One of the big criticisms that people have about the Chemex stems from the paper filter. It's big and it's thick and it filters out a lot of stuff from your coffee. I see that as the complete opposite. I see that as an extreme bonus because it helps lead to that clarity by getting rid of a lot of the oils on your cup of coffee. Some people argue that it leads to a little bit less body. I've had some really nice full body texture brews from the Chemex, and I actually prefer the Chemex filters when I'm doing any kind of V60 or origami pour over because I want that extra clarity. That is super important in my brew. Other complaints about the Chemex stem from the design, specifically that of the flute or little opening right here. The fact that when you put a filter in there, a lot of times it gets clogged and it chokes out the air, which leads to stalled brews. I haven't experienced this a ton in my Chemex. It does happen from time to time, but if you just open it up a little bit or you put a chopstick or a pen or something in the flute to create that airway, it should really help too. Now, I am a huge fan of manually brewing my coffee. I see it as a form of meditation, and I love putting that extra work in to get a great cup of coffee that I love. But another reason that I love the Chemex that ties into manually brewing is the fact that you are in complete control of your brew. Now, that can be said about a lot of different manual brewing methods, but it just gives you so much more control from a basic drip coffee maker where you're kind of at the mercy of their preconceived settings. This, you have full control of the temperature, the amount of water you're using, the ratio, the grind size, how quickly or how slowly you are brewing the cup of coffee. It all rests on you, my friend, and that gives you the opportunity to really experiment around and dial in the perfect brew for you. And that is a game changer, because at the end of the day, the best coffee is the coffee that you enjoy. Doesn't matter what I say, doesn't matter what any of the other coffee gurus say. If you like a cup of coffee, rock it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Chemex is going to allow you to specifically dial in on a taste profile that you really like and you really enjoy. And I think that is a game changer and a worthwhile investment right there. And the Chemex is also designed more so for large brews. I know anytime I'm brewing with it, I try not to go smaller than 30 grams for my original input of coffee. That's a lot. It's going to brew me almost 2 cups of coffee, but I think that's awesome. You can always just grab that second cup and put it in a thermos for later, and it's great if you're having friends and family over who want to try some high quality specialty coffee. This is going to brew you multiple cups and keep everybody happy. Plus, it's aesthetic as frick, just so fun to look at. Alright, so let's get down to business. Why should you brew with the Chemex? Why should you keep this on the bar? Why should you not be so quick to write it off? And why do I recommend it for people just getting into specialty coffee? Well, besides it being aesthetic as heck and fun to look at, it's just a beautiful art piece, but all that aside, it's going to brew you an amazing cup of coffee if you utilize it properly. Now, if you're someone who has been brewing coffee at home but hasn't found your ideal taste profile, maybe you've been trying a French press and it's a little bit too dark, a little bit too bitter and heavy for you, or you've been trying an automatic brew and you just feel limited by not having enough control, or there's too much bitterness in it, then I would highly, highly recommend you check out the Chemex and just have a different perspective, a different side of brewing, because it's going to give you more of a clean, less bitter cup of coffee. So try it in comparison to a French press and an auto drip, and you should notice a massive, massive difference, and maybe it's one that you like. So I told you why I love the Chemex and some of the big arguments against the Chemex and why I don't personally feel like they hold up or should be an ultimate factor. But to end off the video, I'm going to give you 3 awesome Chemex recipes that you have to try. These recipes will make you fall in love with the Chemex and help brew some of the best cups of coffee you have ever tasted. Now for these 4 Chemex recipes, I'm just going to give you the generic information. The ratios, how much beans to use, when to pour, and all that kind of information to get you into the right ballpark. I want you to tinker in and really dial these recipes in for your own liking. Try them, see which ones you like the best, and then alter them to your own specifications. That's the way you're going to ensure you're getting the best coffee. Now, recipe number 1 is my own personal go-to Chemex recipe. I have this almost every single day. Now, it comes in with a 1:17 ratio, which is a little bit on the weaker side, but I find that gives me more body and clarity in my cup. So you're going to start off with 30 grams of beans, grind on about a medium coarse setting. Now, our output here is going to be 500 grams. So once you get your beans into your Chemex, you're going to go ahead and bloom your coffee. I do a 70-gram bloom and I let it sit for 30 seconds. Following the bloom, I'm going to add 250 grams of water. After that, I'm going to go ahead and shake the Chemex a little bit, and I let the water fully drain down between pours. Following this, you're going to add up to 350 grams, 450 grams, and then your final weight of 500 grams. I do like to shake the Chemex in between each pour just to make sure all the grounds are being fully saturated and nothing is getting left behind on the edges. The total brew time for this should be between 5 to 6.5 minutes. It does run a little bit long, but trust me, it's worth it. Our second recipe goes out to all the iced coffee lovers. This is a great flash brew using the Chemex, also known as a Japanese flash brew recipe. You're going to need 70 grams of beans, ground up on a medium coarse setting, and about 320 grams of ice. By doubling the amount of grounds, you don't have to worry about the ice diluting your brew. So that's super important to note. If you don't want to double your grounds, just add less ice. Now, what's really cool about this brew is you're just going to make a pour over just like you would any other way. You're still going to bloom your coffee and continue pouring in circular motions until you reach your goal weight. When the coffee comes into contact with the ice, it instantly turns cold and locks in the flavors in a very aromatic, unique way that's akin to hot coffee, but is perfect in an iced coffee as well. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds here. For this one, you're going to want to stick pretty close to the ratios that I had in the first brew. The only difference here is that this one is over ice and you've doubled the amount of grounds to make up for that. So stick with the same kind of ratios. You're still going to want to finish around 515 grams. Now, this next recipe came from me researching and Googling and experimenting with a lot of different Chemex recipes. I found this one online, and I've come to really enjoy it. In fact, it won 3rd place at the International Chemex Cup in Berlin in 2018. So it's a pretty good recipe, and it's really, really good with light, washed Ethiopians. Now, this is a smaller brew. You're going to start with 21.5 grams, and you're going to grind it more on a medium coarse setting. The total weight in water is going to be about 300 grams. You're going to start your bloom with 40 grams, and you're going to let that sit for 40 seconds. Following that, you're going to add in 150 grams of total water, wait for 1 minute and 20 seconds, and then pour up to the final weight of 300 grams. After that, you're going to have an amazing pour-over coffee. This is going to brew in roughly 4 minutes. So it is a little bit quicker than some of the larger brews. So if you're looking for something smaller, you don't have to share or entertain, this could be the perfect recipe for you. Now we're on to our fourth and final recipe that's going to help you fall in love with the Chemex. I know this one is going to work because this one helped me fall in love with the Chemex and really helped me develop my taste palette. So I have a feeling you are really going to enjoy this one. But prepare yourself, it is a big boy. We're doing a large brew on this one. So maybe make it when you have some friends over or if you want to make a lot of coffee for a full day. You're going to need 55 grams, and you'll want to get that ground on a medium setting. Now, your total amount of water is going to be 780 grams. Yep, a lot of water. And you're going to brew for roughly 5 minutes and 30 seconds, give or take drawdown time. For this one, you are going to do an 80-gram bloom, and you are going to stir throughout to help it get saturated. Now, following the bloom, you are just going to fill your Chemex right to the top. As much water as you can put in there. This is a really helpful recipe if you don't even have a scale. After you do that, you're just going to let it completely dry down. It should take 2 to 3 minutes. Then you're going to pour one more time until you reach your final goal weight of 750 grams. After that, keep swirling a couple more times and then pour it out because you have an amazing cup of coffee. You cannot beat the clarity and quality that comes from brewing with a Chemex. Don't be so quick to write it off. It's just unbeatable. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I really, truly hope you enjoyed it. Just wanted to share a little bit about why I love the Chemex and why you should give it a chance too. I think it deserves a spot on your brew bar, and I think it's going to take your coffee game to a whole new level. If you like this video, or you are a Chemex fan, like your girl, just give this video a big thumbs up, and make sure you hit that subscribe button to join our coffee-loving community. My name's Kaylin. I'm a coffee roaster from Toronto, Canada. My goal is to help you brew better coffee at home and fall in love with specialty coffee. I make videos about tips and tricks and all kinds of crazy specialty coffee stuff. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments below which of these 4 recipes you want to try and what are your favorite Chemex recipes. Do you like the Chemex? Do you have any tips for other people with the Chemex? I want to hear all about it. Let's get down into the nitty-gritty in the description. Thank you again for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are in the world. Remember, drink better coffee. Go support a local independent roaster. Peace out, y'all.